Welcome to SeriousTech, Engineering the Future, a podcast where we deep dive into the critical role of domain expertise in shaping successful careers in technology. In a rapidly evolving tech landscape, mastering a specific domain is what sets top engineers apart. Join us as we explore how domain tech is transforming industries with a special focus on healthcare, and hear from experts who have built cutting-edge solutions by combining technical brilliance with specialized knowledge. If you're looking to stay ahead in your tech career, this is the place to be. Joining us today is Srikanth Chandrashekar, Vice President at CitiusTech. Srikanth brings deep expertise in device engineering, embedded systems, medical domain, and healthcare technology, with a career that spans leadership roles at CitiusTech and previously at L&T. In today's episode, we will be exploring how AI is transforming embedded system design in healthcare, especially when it comes to working with legacy systems and accelerating development cycles. Srikanth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Laurel. Thanks for joining. Very good morning. Yeah, looking forward for the discussion.
I'm looking forward to our discussion too. And I guess the best place to start is with some basics. Can you help us understand the importance of embedded systems in medical technology?
Embedded systems, right? If you talk about embedded system, it's a combination of hardware and firmware and the software for doing a particular activities. You can take if you see embedded system is everywhere in the home. If you see TV to a washing machine to microwave oven or a computer, it all embedded systems. But when it comes to healthcare point of view, so we normally get into a diagnostic, therapeutic, surgical, and life sciences. What is diagnostic is anything which monitor the vital parameters of the body. It can be ECG, SpO2, NIBP, IBP, temperature. There's a multiple vital parameters we monitor. So that is nothing but a patient monitors we use. We use ultrasound scans for doing scans across our body. And we have different modality products like CT, MR, PET for doing a different type of product. So these are all the embedded products on a diagnostic. Similarly, from therapeutic, right, which is going to change the biological parameter of the body. Example, cancer, when your person is having cancer, treating a cancer using high energy radiations, oncology products, or a person who is having a cardiac arrest and you use a defibrillator to change the biological parameters, or a dialysis machine for a kidney failure. So these are the products which falls under therapeutic, and the surgical equipments are implantables most of the times, and also the robotic surgery what we use nowadays. It's very important that patient recover faster, right? So that surgical equipments, and there is again the other category of products can be a life sciences, which is done in the laboratory equipment for testing the blood tissues and samples, right? It can be chemistry analyzer or a blood cell counters. So these are the products which will fall as a embedded, right? If you we use every day in our no, when we as a patient, when he goes to the hospital or anything, he go through the all different type of equipments for different type of diagnostic.
Yes, you gave so many great examples there on the importance of these embedded systems. They certainly seem to play a key role within healthcare technology. And with all of these moving parts, there can certainly be some challenges that might arise. Could you elaborate on maybe what some of those challenges might typically look like throughout this process?
See, if you see embedded systems, right, the era of embedded systems, if you see in the earlier days, assembly language started with assembly language, then we started with embedded C, then there is again, we started with the bare metal, then autos came, OS came, embedded C, C++, and we started using FPGA, 6 and DSPs for particular applications. So the embedded systems have evolved significantly. And coming to the usage of, like example, the challenges what we face is today the medical product development cycle will take minimum, no, based on the complexity of the product. We classify the product as class 1, class 2, and class 3 based on the criticality what the product does. Example, a simple patient monitors may take up to 18 to 24 months. An ultrasound machine can take 24 to 36 months for a complete development. And a CT or MR may take 3 years to 5. The PDLC, the product development life cycle, is so vast in medical because of regulations. We have FDA for US and CE marking for Europe and other countries, regulations we need to meet to sell across different countries. So where the challenges comes is because if you see example a CT machine which has got developed, started development, and we choose the hardware and the embedded architecture, until we release it takes 4 years, 4 to 5 years, and after release we need to support for another 7 to 10 years approximately. So that we have a lot of challenges we have to support from the legacy point of view, because technology get faster developed, and you see a lot of evolutions in the technology which changes very rapidly. So it's very important that we address a legacy system, because it also some of the the today's kids doesn't learn the what we learned in earlier, right? So it's very important that how do we understand the legacy system, and obsolescence management is the biggest challenge. The version management example, the older version is when you want to add a new feature, you can't add it because the older version is not compatible with the latest versions. So these are the practical problems what we face when we come to embedded legacy systems, and this is where I think we need to address.
Absolutely. I mean, technology, as you said, is rapidly evolving. The quick change, but then when you applied in the medical ecosystem, of course, there's a lot of regulations and making sure that everything works correctly and to standard and is safe and everything. So I could understand those challenges there. Given those challenges, again, around those legacy systems, how are teams starting to approach this differently today?
See, definitely it has to be approached in a complete life cycle, because if you see the typical any product development cycle of the embedded systems, will go with a requirement gathering, then design and development, where we have high level design, detail level design, development, then unit testing, then we have a verification and validations, then we have pre-compliance, compliance testing, and then we have design to manufacturing transfer. This is a typical anything, and medical being governed by standards like ISO 13485, IEC 6060-1 from the safety, because patient safety is very critical in medical, and 1-2 which talks about EMI/MC, because here the where people have to address is where we can use from addressing the legacy code. As I told, right, it is very important that understanding the code, that architecture, we and adding the feature to the legacy code is where it is very important. And also on the most of the times what happens, you will not have a typical documentations for the legacy codes, and it is very difficult for a engineer to understand what is a feature it is legacy do code is doing, what is how do we tweak the code, right? So using sometimes like AI basically to understand the legacy code and come up with architecture helps assist engineers to make the decision faster. So yeah, this is at high level what we face the problem with.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of these modern approaches are naturally leading to AI solutions. So for the teams that are looking to bring AI into their embedded development workflows, especially within healthcare, what would implementation actually look like, and where should they start?
See, I think as I conveyed in my previous thing, right, they have to start example in the new product development. If I take a new product development, they have to start at the requirement phase. That to understand that because when we generate the requirement for embedded system, we'll have a hardware requirement and we have a mechanical requirement, we'll have a firmware requirement, software requirement, system requirement. So finally, it's all making the requirement for the end goal of the customer. The end goal of the customer is he want a patient monitors. So we want a patient monitor which monitors the multi-parameter patient monitors in line with particular standards, regulations, compliance, right? So we can use AI in the requirement phase, that we have captured all the end customer requirement, and then we are segregated properly within the requirement documents between hardware, firmware, system, right? It's very important. We can use in the requirement phase. And when come to design phase, basically we can also use during the making the architecture decisions. We want to make architecture decision, what type of architecture we want to use it. Then AI will help to assist based on the architectures used across the globe, right? Not only in healthcare, from the automotive domain, industrial product. It's give an idea for us which architecture is better, pros and cons, and other thing. And AI we can use in design and development on documentations, mainly from the generating the hardware design document and the firmware design document. Similarly, that and when it comes to testing point, it can also help. AI can help us in seeing that have we covered all the points what is mentioned in the requirement. It can cross check the test coverage because it's very important that in this today, especially in healthcare. So healthcare is a one the life of the patient, right? And what we diagnosed is based on the doctor makes a decision. So it's very important that we don't miss a single requirement, which is very important that it has to be done. So that AI can check the test coverage with respect to requirement. We have 100% coverage or anything, right? So this is where we can use for a complete new product development point of view. And from coming to the legacy code, when it comes to maintenance, right, we have to do maintenance because the machines are quite expensive from the CT, MR, and the higher end product. So doctors, once they buy, we have to upgrade to new features we need to add. There will be some bug fixes. There will be some issues in the field. We need to address it. So there, where we can able to use AI to understand the code, help it in no because when legacy code as I conveyed it takes minimum 4 years to 5 years to develop the product and launch to the market, and then if any issues comes in then people have to understand, right? If now we have a very good standards on the documentation point of view. As a medical, we follow IC 62304 documentation for a complete software development. Even for embedded point of view, we have all critical documentations, but it is very helpful in understanding the legacy code. And if you come to serviceability point of view, right, today the problem is it's very easy to service a simple product. When I tell simple, it can be patient monitors, ultrasound, it can be sleep anesthesia machine or a dialysis machine. But if it comes to the product like MR, right, or a CT or a PET, it is so complex product or oncology product. So service engineer can't, example, if there is an image anomaly and image, the doctor has told there is some issue in image and they want to fix it. So it is very difficult for a service engineer because imaging is very subjective because in ultrasound, the image is different, CT image is different, MR image is different, PET image is different. So it is not that a service engineer can able to understand all the image modality of the product. So it is very important that how do we reduce the cost of non-quality? What do you mean by cost of non-quality? Because you go to the service engineer go to the hospital and he will replace, example, there is an image anomaly, he will replace the motherboard and the product is not up. He will replace the power supply, the product is not up. He will replace some other board, then product becomes okay. So what is the cost of non-quality? A working board will come to the manufacturer, and there is a downtime in hospital. There will be a loss of money to the hospital, and also the patient care, right? It is like patient has to, the number of surgeries planned. It is a life what we are playing. Example, today MR machine is down and the patient is very critical. We have to do the surgery and it's very important, right? So how do we use AI to identify the right defect in the product? So by building the knowledge, basically the stitching the example, if there is an image anomaly, we have a DICOM images, we have the defect logs, and the device itself generate a lot of diagnostic, self-diagnostic thing. So how do we build the story of the data, right, and able to analyze exactly when service engineer upload the defect, he can able to, oh, this defect has come in previously by solving this particular motherboard. So how do we reduce the basically the downtime and reduce the cost of non-quality, and which is also important. It is not only AI in embedded can be used only in new product development or maintenance. It also help in serviceability, so that it is helps significantly, especially when the modality become complex. AI plays a major role in solving the problem, Laurel.
Srikanth, as we wrap up our conversation together, I'd like to look ahead to the future of healthcare technology, the role of AI. What does the outlook of all of this look like? And so, what does the future of embedded system design look like when we're talking about healthcare and that growing role of AI within it?
So I'll talk about healthcare, right? Where the healthcare is moving, and then I will definitely switch on AI, how it is important and embedded AI. So the today's word in healthcare, right? Patient need to be comfortable anytime. any problems. He want to be comfortable. And that is only happen, the surgery time has to get reduced. Then again, he will be more comfortable when the minimum invasive surgery happens using robotics. And patient recovery time should be faster. And patient doesn't want to go to hospital very often. So it should be remote monitoring. When it will remote monitoring, it should be wearable devices, wireless connectivity, IoT. So this is where the patient wants, and this is what is today, right? It comfort, right, and it also faster recovery and right diagnostic and lesser duration of treatment. So it is all possible implementing AI at right time. So edge AI is very important. The way we have cloud AI, we have a edge AI. We have to do real time processing very faster so that the latency can be reduced. We get the right quality of imaging what we want. It can be for, I'm not telling all the products we could able to do. Still, cloud AI is important, but I'm training about the ultrasound machine. If you want to do a live scanning, how do I enhance my scanning? Like how do I diagnose with a limited time faster rather than scanning for more than 15 minutes? How do I ensure that I do right measuring in the UI so that I can able to reduce the scanning time? So it's very important that edge AI implementation is very thing, and modular based design is very popular now. We can't have that, so that in a complete embedded development we have to implement a modular designs, and I think these are the two important things, and ensure that 100% coverage. And I suggest that all the embedded engineers, because embedded is a space where the AI adoption is little getting slower compared to the software side. I think it is growing very significantly now because time to market is very critical, and we have to ensure the innovations happens. And embedded, lot of works happen. It is embedded, it is invisible. It's not like software where you see everything is visible. Embedded happens everything in background. It's like invisible things do. I think I encourage a team to use AI in their embedded system so that we can build innovative product in future and going forward. Yeah.
The AI lends itself almost to that invisibility, if I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Shrikant, as we wrap up our conversation here, do you have any final thoughts or resources that you might recommend for our listeners that want to further explore this space?
So I think, Laurel, it was a good discussion, but I'll tell you, I forgot to mention one use case example. A typical embedded system development, right? It takes minimum. But the reason here is we have to do a hardware design, then we have to do prototyping. Though it's agile methodology, the time taken for, and then the firmware code need to get ported. So if the firmware and hardware sync for the intent of use, then it's fine. Otherwise, it will go for again spin. So the time taken is like can be reduced significantly if you can build a virtual hardware setup, which is as good as physical hardware. Then start testing the firmware at the initial stages so that the right first time can be increased significantly. So, as a CTS Tech, as a company, we are working, building our own platform to reduce the software development life cycle. Similarly, we are incorporating that how do we reduce the PDLC of the embedded in significant way. So it's very important at each stage. I gave the one of the use case, like there's a multiple use case where we can try to ensure that the PDLC of the product can be reduced significantly. This is on the new product point of view. From wrapping up the summarizing the serviceability, I've talked about legacy code, abstinence issues, and the knowledge, the documentation issues, and everything. Right? AI plays significant role in ensuring that the new feature additions can be released to the market on time using that. And AI will definitely assist to understand the legacy code in a significant way. And to wrap up on the serviceability point of view, it's very important for a company, right? I think service failed the major role because once a hospital buy the machine, they expect that it works right without any malfunction for a life cycle, right? It's similar to the car, the way we buy the car and we don't want breakdown in the car in any point of time, right? And we don't want to go to that complete mess. So similarly, the customers also ensure that the medical product function without any malfunction. So it's very important that we do predictive maintenance of the product, right? How do we reduce the cost of non-quality, as I explained? So I think using AI in not only from the new product development, from the lifecycle management to serviceability and all the areas, right? It will help us to bring the faster to the market, right? And then we can focus on the more innovative way, and we can increase the patient comfort by reducing the surgery time and the recovery time, as I mentioned. So I request, encourage, right? Rather than request, I encourage everyone to use AI on the complete development cycle. And thanks, Laurel. I think it was nice, good discussion. Thanks for the questions and interactions. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Srikanth, for sitting down with us today and for bringing all your expertise to our conversation. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Same here. Thanks, Laurel.
The SeriousTech Engineering the Future podcast is brought to you by CitiusTech, a leader in healthcare consulting and IT services. To find out more about CitiusTech, visit citiustech.com. To listen to more interesting insights on healthcare technology and innovations, search and subscribe to CitiusTech's YouTube channel.